Hello, welcome to the Scott Rez Podcast. I just say thanks for listening. I'm just going to use this little intro section just to tell you what the podcast is all about. But I'm going to start with, obviously, the big news. I'm coming back. I'm coming back to DJing. I'll be playing at Bounce Heaven, the first Bounce Heaven night in Preston. That's my first comeback gig. And then I'm going to be playing in Sanctuary's 16th birthday in Blackpool on the 14th of April. So they're both gigs. I mean, this will be out on a Saturday and the Preston one will be tomorrow. So if you're down there, come and say hello. I'll be down there playing. And then obviously we've got the Sanctuary one on the 14th of April. Right, so that out of the way, I'm going to tell you how this podcast is going to work. It's not a music podcast, although it will have bits of music on. I'll explain. What this podcast is, it's me chatting to DJs, chatting to MCs, chatting to artists, singers, everybody, and just having a sort of basic normal chat with people. I know obviously you always hear stuff, you don't get really to hear stuff about the DJs and obviously personal stuff and have a chat with them. So that's what I'll try and bring with this podcast. We have a laugh, it's fun, it's light-hearted. I do want to touch on some straight sort of like, more controversial topics and stuff like that. So it's going to be good if you hold on for the ride. They're all going to be about an hour and 10 minutes, although there is going to be some cut-up bits. So, yeah, it should be good. So this week's podcast, this episode's podcast, should I say, is Daz Birchall. We caught up with Daz. Now, Daz has been a friend of mine for a long time. And we talked about on this podcast sort of like how he got into DJing and how obviously he still likes raving. We also talked about his hobbies, interests and stuff that he likes to do. Obviously Daz is a very spiritual guy, and we're very close. We're into weird stuff we both like weird stuff, and we talk about that on the podcast. Hope we don't get too weirded out about it, but it's the last 10-15 minutes about it. A feature on the podcast as well that I'm going to do is a thing called the Dream Lineup. Now, every guest that I see, every guest that I talk to, I'm going to ask them about their dream lineup. So it's basically a rave, a fantasy rave, really. 3 DJs, 6 hours. It can be any DJs in any order. They've got to put themselves back on the dance floor. And obviously, whatever DJs they would love to listen to. It can be any venue. Obviously, you'll hear about that later on. We caught up with Daz. We had a chat about the DJs he chose, why he chose them. It was pretty good as well. Another section I'm also doing is a thing called the Acoustic Sessions. Now on this podcast, this one we caught up with Nikki, and what we do on the Acoustic Sessions, we're going to get dance tracks, tracks that artists have sung, and we're going to re-sing them acoustically. Obviously, I play the guitar, so we do that. We recorded Nikki singing on this one. We also had a little chat with Nikki. We found out about how she got into music and how she got into singing and stuff like that. So it's really interesting. I think you'll enjoy it. So yeah, here's the podcast.
You're listening to the Scott Rez Podcast. We get you inside the head of your favourite DJs.
Hello again. Hello again. Right, we've just, I'll let you know, be honest, we'll be real, Daz. We just did some recording there and we get some pops, so we just had to change Daz's mic because he couldn't handle the truth that it was getting. We'll start again. It's only 10 minutes and we chat like mad anyway. So, I've come over to Sonny. Do you want me to give you your address? Not full address, but...
Yeah, I'll give you my postcode as well.
I've come over to Sunny Earlham to hook up with Daz Birchall, DJ Daz Birchall. Before the mic started going, we were talking about, obviously, how he got into raving and stuff like that. How he got into DJing, raving, all bits and bobs. So, yeah.
Are we going to carry on from there as if I didn't tell it before?
Yeah, we'll just carry on, and if it comes back up again...
I'll try and make it sound first time natural again.
Well, if you plaster on a fake smile and plough through this shit one more time...
Yeah, basically...
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll start. So, obviously, I want to know, you've been about on the scene for a long time and stuff, and, you got into DJing. You're a DJ, classic DJ, you've been about for a bit, so just sort of tell us about that, really.
Yeah, well, my DJing came about, really, I suppose a lot of DJs, from being a raver.
Yeah.
Started raving, I think it was 29th of June, 1996.
So I best tell you about Daz. Yeah, he remembers dates quite a lot. He remembers.
I can remember far away dates, long ago.
Yeah.
But anything sort of yesterday, what date is it today? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well, when it concerns with raves, you're sort of like a rave rain man, aren't you?
I suppose,
Definitely, definitely September. Definitely September.
Yeah, I suppose.
Definitely read the mark. Definitely read the mark. Yeah. Always rave on a Tuesday. I'm
going to dig that film out.
Do you know what? It's on Netflix.
Is it?
That's why I referenced it so well, because I only watched it about a week ago. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I always drive the rave on a Tuesday. Yeah, man always likes me driving a rave on a Tuesday. Today's Thursday.
Oh, wow. You have to give us your Netflix log.
Yeah. I'll give them your... Oh, mate,
I
it's
need
funny.
to watch that later.
Do you know what was a funny bit as well? A funny bit where if you've never seen Rain Man, it's an old film from the 80s with Dustin Hoffman. He won an Oscar for it.
Oh, it was a cracking film.
So you were, you're like the Rain Man of ravers for dates and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I will say my raving days started back in sort of mid-90s. I came from... I was in a happy hardcore as it was back then. I used to go to all the happy hardcore raves, Bowlers and Elter Skelters.
Back then, Bowlers was a massive venue, wasn't it, for raves and
It was.
stuff.
Yeah, the Asylum. It was when I first started going. Then, of course, later the Compulsion events.
Yeah.
I used to do all the hardcore raves, and then I think one of my rave mates used to tell me about going to Wigan Pier.
Yeah.
He kept telling me, Daz, you'd love it. And we ended up going one night, been out drinking in one of the local pubs, and there was a few of us just jumped in a taxi and went off to Wigan Pier. I think none of us had ever been before. And, walked in, and it was like, wow, this is like a proper rave, but obviously slower than the hardcore music was.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was brilliant. So, I mean, that became a regular thing for me then. Wigan Pier pretty much every single week.
Yeah.
The music back then was booming. It wasn't really bounce back then. It was a mixture of different stuff. And
Yeah.
so it was, for me, musically, I'd only ever been into hardcore. I'd never, ever entertained any other form of music. I wouldn't do it. I was strictly hardcore, and that was it. So for me, it was something brand new. It was going to this club and all this new music, which I remember my mate, Matt Yates, I said to him, I went to Wigan Pier for the first time last night, and he was like, what sort of music was it? I said, well, I couldn't really describe it to him. It was like, I heard Lover.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a trance club. I was like, no. I heard Hyperlogic, Only Me. Oh, so it's an hard house club. I was like, nah, it was bits of everything. It was...
Yeah. Well, that was the good thing about the Pier. Back in the day, it was like a mixture. It was the best of all the other mixer scenes that were big, that sort of fit.
Yeah.
And like I say, a lot of people were saying this before, but a lot of people think of bounce music and what we play now. It weren't its own genre then. It was just a mismatch, a melting pot of different stuff. Hard house tracks, the sort of softer ones that fit in, trance tracks, old school tracks, you know what I mean?
Commercial tracks.
Yeah, commercially tracks and stuff, and all the big tracks. And people say now, I mean, with bounce, I mean, for me, bounce is not... Like, people make it synonymous with the donk, that's the sound, and that's the sound of the genre and stuff like that. And it's not, for me, the feeling of a track makes it bounce.
Yeah, of course.
It's that feeling. And I think maybe that's, obviously with us, we was in it before it was sort of a specific genre of its own. So it was a melting pot. So you had to select the tracks that, that's a belter, it's some trance thing, but that's massive, that, PPK Resurrection and all that and stuff like that. And then, like I say, Lover, which is a trance track with a bootleg vocal on it. And so, I mean, even now for me, I mean, a perfect example was the Poison track me and you sort of did a little edit of. It's like some electro-y, bouncy type thing, There's no donk in it, there's no nothing.
But it's bouncy, as such, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that feeling. It's you can't put your finger, you can't say what it is. Yeah. It's just, it's in it or it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so from there, back then, Wigan Pier every week, you know, whether it was a Friday or a Saturday or both.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely on a Saturday.
And of course, I'd been DJing. I used to play like happy hardcore on vinyl at home and stuff like that. I'd done a couple of club gigs playing happy hardcore. I actually played at Bowlers at a private function. Yeah, you know, a little small room at Bowlers. Yeah, about 1998 that was. You know, I've never put it on my resume. You know. But so I'd done a couple of gigs there, and you know, I had a set of turntables at home and whatnot, and of course, so when I started going to Wigan Pier, I was also started buying the vinyl.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it was pretty soon after that, really. You know, of course, everyone wanted to play at the Pier, and no one ever got a look in, ever. You know, I occasionally used to go to Maxim's, and I think I took a demo tape with me one night. You know,
Literally, now you're showing your age now, and you're like
cassette tape. Yeah. Remember them?
You know, I do.
And I got a phone call back off Debbie D from Zone, asking me to go and play there. And I remember the night they wanted me to go and play, it was the Saturday, a few days after New Year's Eve. So I remember going, and it was pretty dead. You know, maybe a couple of hundred people in there.
Imagine.
Yeah, and so it wasn't too bad. You know, I was pretty nervous, of course, and you know, but it was easy because it was pretty empty and whatnot. Anyway, Debbie wasn't there this night. I think Gary Hypnotic was there and Andy.
Sorry, that was my fault again. The bloody laptop stopped again. Right, we were just... you were just saying that you played at Zone, you did not heard anything, and then a month later or something, Debbie phoned you.
Almost a month later, I got the phone call again. Do you want to come play for us again?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, brilliant. And so I remember going the second time that I played and walked in with me, you know, big box of vinyl, you know, as it was back then. And I remember it was packed. It turned out that this second night I played.
See, sorry to interrupt you, but that's one thing that DJs now, with a little USB pen or even a CD wallet, if you started back then, you do not know what it was like lugging. No. And you had to fill your box up, your record box up, lugging it back, because if someone played, you couldn't just put your set in it and go, because if someone played some of your tunes, that's it. So you had 80, 90 vinyl in a fucking record flight case box, carrying it about. God damn, your partner had a gig that day. You didn't care if you get a parking ticket.
Yeah, so, I mean, I went and played the site. It turned out it was Debbie D's birthday night. Yeah. You know, so it was a big night, this, and, you know, I had no idea what I was walking into. So when I walked in, it was rammed. You know, it was packed.
And Maxim's a decent-sized club as well, wasn't it? You know?
That's what I mean. So, fucking hell, you know, my arse went then. Yeah. And the way they used to do it at Maxim's back then was you wouldn't just go on and play for an hour. They'd put you on for half an hour and then maybe half an hour again later on, which of course it did. And I think it might have been the first half hour that it did might have been maybe at 11 o'clock or something like that. So by which time it's rammed and it's getting pretty rocking. And so I played this half hour. And
what did you play, like the bounce stuff then? Because you were buying bounce, or did you play?
Yeah, I mean, as it was back then, Maxim's was still predominantly an old school club. Yeah. You know, I think the Zone nights were playing a lot of Italian stuff.
Yeah, the Italian house.
But the other DJs, you know, I think Gary Hypnotic, Jamie Agar, they weren't really playing bounce as such, like you heard in Wigan Pier. There was bits of trance and bits of sort of clubby stuff, but not like I went in and played, you know. So, you know, it kind of, that night got recorded. So, of course, CDs and tapes came out from that night. And I remember going back again the following month, and all of a sudden people knew me. Yeah. Like, oh, you're Daz Birchall. And it's like that surreal feeling of fucking hell, shit. you know, but yeah, it did well, you know, because I went in. Well, I generally go to Wigan Pier on a Friday night, heard what was getting played, buy the vinyl on a Saturday day, go and play it then at Maxim's on the Saturday night. You know, so yeah, it
so basically
well
what you're trying to say, if you got a Friday night gig, you'd have been stifled as a DJ, wouldn't you, if you played on a Friday?
Yeah, so, I mean, that was it. That was where I started playing bounce, really. Yeah. Back at Maxim's, you know, of course, then played for Zone on and off over the years. Yeah. Played Wigan Pier, you know, in sort of later years of it.
Yeah.
So it's done well, you know.
Yeah, it's been about for a long time. Now, to be fair, you're more known now. You've really gravitated. I mean, in my book, and I don't really care what anyone else says about this, but like a classic wig and peer DJ, there's no one better. There's nobody better.
Yeah.
At all, and you sort of gravitate towards that, the older stuff rather than playing a lot of the newer stuff.
Yeah, I think generally, I suppose that came about. I think playing the BTID events, I generally either play really early or really late. You know, so I can't play a lot of new stuff. A lot of the new stuff that you get now, it's too heavy to play or
early on.
Yeah, so. I generally
take note, some DJs out there.
I generally became known as a classics DJ.
Yeah.
And I suppose over the last couple of years, I have gravitated more towards the classics.
But for me as well, over them last few years, well, not even that, but just knowledge of tunes, because obviously you were there when they were first out and buying them on the Friday and playing them on the Saturday. And so you've got an intimate knowledge with all that. With them tunes, and then mixing them together and finding stuff that fit together.
Well, to be honest, I mean, and that's what I love about playing the old stuff is that you can mix it.
Yeah,
you know, it's not the new stuff that's straight in and out, and there's no real sort of mixing involved anymore. You know, a lot of them, the intros and outros are so short.
But I think that's what you've made. I think that's what you've cut. You've cut yourself that piece of the market and a piece of the. Like I say, being able to do that, obviously, with your skills as a DJ, because obviously now, if you play a classic set, you don't play. I mean, they're 6 minutes, 7 minute long. Some of these tracks, you don't just play the track then mix into the M beats. You still can be creative with it.
Yeah, of course.
And you do that, and you mix them together. You got one tune riding, one with another with the keys, and you really look into it. And
I think again. Not only because I'm passionate about the old music, because I suppose for nostalgic reasons, really.
You remember your rave days.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of the stuff I play, I was out dancing to back in the day. But I suppose the thing that I suppose changed the way that I play is a couple of years ago upgrading. I got a controller and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was just I don't know. It just around the same time.
You bring up a good point there that I want to obviously touch on and get your opinion and thoughts on and stuff, because you hear a lot of classics DJs say, and older
we're getting
DJs.
onto the vinyl thing.
Yeah. We're gonna because you've just made a good point out, because you've got obviously digitized all your tracks, and then getting the controllers then give you the freedom to then mess about and be really creative with it, and then you get you get people, you're not a real DJ if you don't play vinyl and stuff and things like that. And
my take on it is that whether you're a new DJ or an old DJ, it doesn't matter. I started on vinyl, and I've used CDJs, and now I use a controller. No one on the dance floor gives a shit what format you play on.
Yeah.
You're there to make people dance and have a good time, and that's it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't get this big debate about it.
I don't.
I agree. I think when people, you're not a real DJ if you can't play vinyl.
But for me, with that argument it's like that's like saying you're not a real joiner if you use electric drills to drill your own, and you don't use one of them windy whisk things like that. That's what I started on. So it's like,
of course,
it's progression with technology. You know what I mean, and stuff like that, and it affects every part of our life, from our phones to our cars to our TVs. You know what I mean?
Technology, it moves on, of course, and I mean,
so you know what I mean? They don't go, you're not a proper viewer if you didn't used to watch it on an old tube that you had to put 50p in the back of the TV. It's like you just watch the same TV on whether it's a smart TV or not.
I mean, I respect anyone that can use vinyl and still mix on vinyl, because it's fucking hard.
It's a skill.
It is a skill. And you know what? I found some old CDs and cassettes, that I dug out last week. I've got them there on the side actually. And, listening to them, I thought, fucking hell, I played all this on vinyl. Playing through all these old mixes, and I thought, wow.
You had to. It was a skill, wasn't it? You had to practice.
Right.
But I think now, Although it was just predominantly beat matching was the skill.
Yeah.
That you had to learn and get
it.
down, controlling the decks and match and keeping them because they were analog, so they could drift. Even if you're on Technics, direct drives, Vestex and stuff like that, you got the drift with the thing because it weren't digital, you know what I mean? So you had to sort of like flick it along or slow it down and stuff, and you know what I mean? It's but I think now the technology opens up more creative stuff to do. You know,
Well,
you can loop and all that type of stuff.
Exactly, and that's what I've started to do a lot in my sets. Really, is using the hot cues, using live loops and stuff like that. And like you said, the old tracks can be, fucking 7-8 minutes long.
Yeah,
and today's crowd get bored.
Yeah.
I don't care what track it is. You play 8 minutes of that track, and
Yeah,
towards the
don't
end of it,
matter.
they're getting bored.
Yeah, you need a breakdown, a kick in, and then into something
So
else.
it.
That's
I
it.
do live edits of the tracks.
Yeah.
And again, which I think over the last couple of years while I've been doing that, again, it's just added to that sort of... it's helped me as a DJ, really, and helped me get noticed.
And that's helped carve your sort of own little niche as well with stuff.
So
yeah,
it's good. I mean, not only that, I suppose playing the tracks that I play, like I said, a lot of the stuff, it was stuff I was out dancing to back in the day.
Yeah,
and I think certainly with the classics nights, I always make a point of not just playing. I always try and play different. You won't hear me play, a lot of the run-of-the-mill stuff that everyone else plays anyway. I always try and find them different tracks.
Yeah, them old gems that nobody...
stuff that you've not heard for years.
Yeah.
And,
I remember when we played... when we did that outside day thing in Park Hall.
Yeah.
And we played the outside courtyard.
Yeah.
And someone did a little video from up on the deck balcony thing, and SM Tracks
Got the Groove.
Was on.
I remember,
And to be fair, I thought he got a good reaction, but from watching the video back, he was like, fucking hell. Because you never really heard that. And a little bit digging out gems like that and stuff. And
well, that's it. I mean, you think back, there's loads of old tracks that don't see the light of day or rarely see the light of day these days. So I think in my sets now, I always try and play, a few of those type tracks that just don't get played anymore. And like I said, it's for me recently. It's worked for me.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, obviously with the back to the old peers and the old events and stuff like that. So do you go out? I mean, you've just recently played Audacity. Yeah, you've just recently played that stuff. So what are you going playing there? You're banging some newer stuff and whatnot.
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted to do
chance?
it. Really, I suppose. Like you said, over the last couple of years, I've become known as a classics DJ. Yeah. So I thought it'd be fucking brilliant for me. I'd go out and smash some new stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff that, of course, I don't usually get a chance to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was brilliant. It was a top little event, really.
Yeah.
Only a small club. But probably a couple of hundred people in there going wild. And I loved it. It was brilliant.
But to be fair, that's the thing though. With events, people think just build up and go straight to the top, and that's it, and you get 5,000 people and things like that. It don't happen like that. No. You got to build up a brand. You got to build up a good brand, haven't you? Slowly.
Exactly.
They always used to say to me, if you're going to start nights, this is in the heyday when there was 50 clubs you could go to on one night in Manchester or wherever you wanted, Bolton, Manchester, Wigan, wherever you wanted in the Northwest, you could go to a big rave. And in them days, they said to you, if you start in a night, expect to lose money.
It's mad. With you saying that, then back, so I suppose even 15 years ago, if you wanted a night out, you had loads of options.
Yeah.
Whether it was a Friday or a Saturday, you had options.
Yeah, definitely.
You want a night out now, you've got to wait weeks, haven't you, for the next event? It's mad. What happened to all the club nights?
Like I say, but I think sort of things just evolve and events come in. People save up and go to big events and stuff like that.
It fascinates me the way the club scene, sort of the weekly club scene died off.
Yeah. Well, like I say, that's what ended up killing the pair and stuff in the end and whatnot. Max, every one of them went like that, them weekly events. People sort of have this sort of, I suppose when you look back in anything with nostalgia, you only remember the good, but like, at the pier, the last fucking couple of years, the last 18 months was brutal.
Yeah,
you know, and
course.
but the whole scene was dying off, and record shops were dying off, and things. And I think trends just change within.
Yeah, I suppose.
You know, I think it's trend. You know, I think now a lot of people go. Well, I think they go for the event, not the music. I think people, like you said back in your day, you went for hardcore raves and you went there and you didn't go to. And I think a lot of that has stopped. I think people just go. I think they'll go to an event rather than like they'll go to Creamfield as well as going to Park Life, as well as going to Warehouse Projects, as well as going to BTID,
because of the brand. As opposed to being into the music.
Yeah, I suppose they like the music. Don't get me wrong, but you go because that's a mint event. You're gonna go, and you know it's gonna be a top time there. You know what I mean? Whether you go into Glastonbury or Reading and Leeds Festival for bands and stuff and whatnot, and bits of ravey ravey stuff and whatnot in the tents, or whether you go into Creamfields, which is a specific dance event.
Yeah.
People will chop and change a lot. It's a lot more fluid.
Yeah, I suppose.
Which I think is a good thing as well, because then you get that. Like now, I think with the bounce and the BTID and stuff, and the bounce scene in general, we are getting a lot of that. You can play a lot of different types of stuff. There was a time where it was just a kick and a donk, and then no one wanted to know if you played something different, and it was fucking horrible.
I think it's good again now. You know, we are much further on than that now, aren't we? You know,
a lot.
It's kind of becoming much more varied again.
Yeah,
you know, which is good to see, really. You know, it's
but I think you're getting the crowd are having it because they used to go into tech raves and bloody Cocoon and all these other places that play that other music, so they're exposed to it, and it's not just that snobbery of this ain't got a donk in it or this ain't a bounce track. You know, it's not that's sort of gone.
Yeah.
I
think you're right.
Well, yeah. So, well, obviously we've talked about music for a while and stuff, but on this podcast, I do want to try and sort of use it as a vehicle for people to sort of get to know you a little bit better than just talk about...
Is this where I start begging for birds to inbox me and shit like that?
We're not quite at that bit yet, Daz.
Right, sorry.
But we will put a bit of an advert on at the end.
Cut that out.
But yeah, I mean, I want people to know, obviously, you know, you don't have to go personal, but I do want to know. I want the people to know some other things about you. Like, you're not just a sort of raver / DJ. And
you know, well, for a long time, that's pretty much all I was.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I went to work in the week, and you know, I was a raver and a DJ at weekend. You know, you have to be more specific.
Yeah, well,
I'm
going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to ask you some questions. But yeah, stuff like any hobbies. When you're not raving / DJing and working, what do you enjoy?
Well, I suppose at the minute, I like being outdoors at the minute. You know, as much of an old man as I might sound at the minute. I like just being out in, you know, open air, you know.
In nature?
Yeah, in nature, walking the dog, you know, just open countryside or whatever. And yeah, I love that at the minute. You know,
there's something primal about that. There's something... I suppose we're getting on a little bit. I suppose if people listening to this, you know, one of the two of them will probably be a bit younger and be like, what are you going on about? Yeah. You know what I mean? But when it's
strange, you know, just the weekend just gone, I took the dog, just me and the dog went to Rivington.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. You know, just, have you ever been to Rivington? There's Go Ape down at the bottom.
Oh, no, I've never been.
In a bit of a woodland area. And it was pretty wet this particular day, so Go Ape was shut.
Yeah.
And just walking through this woodland area, just me and the dog, no one else about. And just hearing the birds tweeting, I had the trees around me, and the sound of the water in the reservoir next to me. Oh, it was fucking bliss.
Yeah.
It was one of them moments. Thought, wow, why don't I do this more often? You know, I suppose living where we live and stuff like that, just bricks and concrete roads and paths. You know, so yeah, getting out there, just fucking walking through the mud and all that, it was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I suppose that's one thing I enjoy at the minute. What else? That's pretty much it, is it, for hobbies?
Well,
a bit of a boring cunt.
I know, to be fair, I should have known anyway, like I say, when I thought we'll get to know him a bit more personally, I should have known that you're pretty much 99.9% of the stuff you do is work, rave, DJ.
That's pretty much
That's it.
And yeah, I suppose I only ever worked to afford to rave and buy vinyl.
That's a good plan. Yeah. Well, I know one thing. I know you listen to podcasts and other stuff driving about in the van and whatnot and stuff.
Yeah.
So, what other podcasts you listen to?
Yeah, I think a big one, I suppose it is for yourself and maybe a lot of other listeners, is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's a big one.
Yeah, I've gone off Joe Rogan a bit recently.
Really?
Though. Yeah, last 80 odd episodes. I don't know. It's some of the stuff he says now. He really shits on conspiracy people now. Really sort of shits on them, and
I think he just says it how it is. You know, I don't think
he don't. Yeah, but even now he don't seem to have anything. He don't have to seem anything. When I look at who they are, I'm just not interested. He used to have like Graham Hancock on and people talking about alternative history, people talking about UFOs, people talking about all mad shit. And now it's just MMA and fucking other mad shit.
Yeah,
and then
I suppose.
He had. I listen to a lot of the nutrition ones and stuff. I'm in, and things like that, which I'm interested in. And like he had. On one of the episodes recently, we're driving back from Ireland and we put it on in the car. For that Dr. Rhonda Patrick's on again with him and stuff like that. And like they started going on about vaccinations and all that. And there's a lot of like conspiracy, and they were really like tentative about it. They were really sort of like, oh yeah, well, yeah, they're all right actually. And what we do is they actually are all right. Yeah, what we do, I just give my kids them one at a time rather than loads at once, and that's all right. Yeah, and it's like, and it was a bit, and I sort of looked like, what the hell is he going on about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I've actually heard him say on one of his podcasts recently is that he often does change his view on things.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, which I suppose we all do, and we all should do.
Yeah.
You know, you can look at something, and you can see it a certain way. You know, you can learn something else about that same something.
Yeah.
That'll change your view on it.
Yeah.
You see it a different way then. You know, so. You know, I don't hold it against him.
No, I don't, because it's good to be objective and it's good to listen to all sides of it and stuff.
Of course,
like that.
of course, Joe Rogan has loads of different guests on and stuff like that. But other podcasts I listen to, Tangentially Speaking is a good one. Dr. Chris Ryan, he has a lot of people. He's done a lot of travelling.
He wrote a book, Sex at Dawn. Yeah,
I've not actually read it, but.
That's all about. Well, Sex at Dawn is all about the human race. We shouldn't be monogamous and have that one life partner.
Are we meant to be with one life partner, or is it unnatural just to force yourself to be with one person? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of his guests are sort of related to that sort of subject, but then because he's done a lot of travelling.
Don't be having sex if you're related to him. That's a bit.
I think because he's done a lot of travelling as well, he has a lot of backpackers in and stuff like that. So he talks a lot about people travelling and stuff, which is dead interesting. Something that interests me.
Well, so I suppose then that thing with travelling and that, like, where's your favourite place? Where would you love to go? Where would you in the world? Obviously, it interests you if you listen to sort of travelling.
I don't know. I don't think there's any specific place. There's a lot of places I like to go. I suppose South America, but not just like the Amazon and stuff like that. Then I suppose some big cities as well I'd like to go and see. Not just anything specifically. There's a lot of travelling I'd like to do. What else do I listen to? A lot of spirituality type stuff, I suppose.
Yep. You're a very deep guy, Daz. You're very deep.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
Again, it's something that... interest me. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
It's just
well, going back to the Joe Rogan thing, just to interrupt, like I say, I think I've been reading some crazy stuff at the minute, and like I'm into like not conspiracy stuff. I'm into like alternative history, and I like reading about spirituality and UFOs and stuff. Reading a lot of books that sort of like just blow you, just like, wow, blow your mind and stuff, and listening to a lot of theories and lots of things about, the earth, the universe, and our life and reality and stuff. And maybe that's why I've got a little in my background. And Joe Rogan's don't really have many of them people on anymore, or they've not come round, so they sort of seem a little bit like, oh, God.
Yeah. I think maybe over the last 2 or 3 years, I stopped listening so much and stopped reading books about, about the universe and life and stuff like that, because it just leaves you with more fucking questions.
Yeah,
It's
but that's the thing.
Well, what the fuck are we, and what we're doing here, and what's after this, and what was before this?
Yeah.
And it just fucking drives me mad, And you just...
Oh, well, I'm reading a book at the minute, Daz, that'll give you the answers, mate. I swear to God. It's about a woman who's done past life regressions and got into the UFO community and then does regressions with abductees, but then ends up channeling these light entities and spirits, and they're giving her all her answers and all the questions to the universe. And she's like she's asking all these questions, and they're coming through and channeling to her through people. And some of the stuff is unbelievable. And this was happening, like, all her work is from 85-ish onwards, unbelievable.
Is that an audio book or an actual book?
Well, there's I've got the Kindle. She's done quite a few. She's done stuff about conversations with Nostradamus. She wrote a 3-volume book thing about that, which was specifically about that, and prophecies and stuff like that. She's done something with the Gnostics of Jesus and what, not got in contact with Jesus, but like some of the Gnostics with the time and stuff with people. But she's done one called The Keepers of the Garden. And that's an audio book. I'll send it you, actually. That's the audio book. She's working with a guy called Phil. Then the first book I read, it was called The Convoluted Universe. And she references back. So obviously I saw it was an audio book. It's an easy listen at work and stuff like that. So, but that's just mainly about how she met this guy Phil and all the stuff that she went through with him. But... yeah, the Convoluted Universe ones are unbelievable. Like, and she has these 5 books. She says start off with the one called The Custodians, and that's like talk with like the more sort of easy theories to grasp. And then as you go through book 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the Convoluted Universe, the sort of theories and things she gets are a lot more complex, a lot more to do with physics, just literally like, oh my God. Just blowing your mind all the time.
And you truly believe that what she's saying is the truth? She's not some fucking whack job that's making it all open.
Well, this is the thing. This is the sort of thing with it. I don't say I believe that. I'm interested in it, and it's like, whoa, what the fuck are they going on about there? I don't necessarily go, well, yeah, she said that, it must be true. But on the other hand, I also don't believe, I also know 100% fact that we do not know anything. As a species, as humans, if people get on the science bandwagon, and science is brilliant, factual, but...
it doesn't know everything.
No, we don't know everything. And then you also get people who they're invested in their theories in science. They're like ancient. I read a lot about ancient Egypt, so I read a lot of the mainstreamy stuff, and then you read a lot about the alternative theories on it and stuff. And you've got a lot of people in the mainstream invested in what they're selling and what their books. And for anyone in life to just admit, oh, we were wrong. It's difficult, and it's a process that only happens over generations.
Yeah, I think certainly when it's such a widespread belief as well. Yeah, I suppose.
So realistically, when I read these things, I'm interested in them anyway because it's just mad. I'm interested in them. So when I read them, I don't necessarily go, wow, all this is true. I just think, wow. What if it is?
Yeah. I'd like it to be true.
Yeah, if it is true, it'll be buzzing. Yeah. But if it's not true, well, then it don't matter, does it? It's like, obviously, you can't sort of... I don't give a fuck, no matter what you're not going to know everything. No one's got the answers to everything. And if somebody comes and says they have got the answers to everything, they know they're probably Mormons at your door, try to get some money out of you or something, or get you to join their fucking cult.
And I think that's the important
like
thing, innit? You know, is that we don't know everything.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's so easy to just dismiss things
Yeah,
because
well,
it's not wide,
but
you know, it's not mainstream belief.
But this is what pisses me off when people say that, you know, don't be stupid. I'm like, all right. So you've read all these UFO books. You've read all these spiritual books. You've read all these, you know, you've read about interdimensional holographic universe, you know, quantum physics that, you know, you've read, no, I've not read any of that. All right, but you just stand there and go telling me it's bullshit, you know, or don't be daft, or, you know, I think people need to have an open mind about it.
Without a doubt. As they should with everything.
Yeah. But I'm the same with science. I'm like, sweet, you've proved a lot of facts. You have. And, well, the theories, and if somebody else can replicate what you theorize, if another scientist, someone else can replicate that, and then they can replicate it, then it's accepted if it's replicated somewhere else. But still, that still doesn't mean it's true and we know everything. And like saying these books are saying that our mind could not comprehend the shit that's out, you know, the stuff that's out there with.
I think that's probably, like I said, a lot of the reason why I stopped reading stuff like that is because you think, well, fucking hell, if it is out there, fucking show me, you know, I want to see it, and you know, I just want to know for sure, you know? And it just fucking just blags your head, doesn't it?
Yeah. See, well, I mean, to be fair, you've got to sort of look at it as you're never going to get all the answers. You're never going to get. So, like I say, even if that was all true, right? Even if like this universe we lived in was a holographic model and we lived in the Matrix, and even if it was all true, and you knew, and it was, people would still go for their own agenda. Nah, it's not. This is, you know. Yeah. So there's that much. So I suppose it's that much out there. I don't think it's about sort of like taking on a doctrine and going, right, I like this. This is what I believe, and all yous are wrong because this. If you don't believe this, because that's like you say, that's like modern. That's like religion and stuff. Like yous are all wrong. We're right. We're all the ones go to heaven. It's not about that. It's, listen, nobody's right and nobody's wrong. We're all just on this fucking rock flying through space at thousands of miles an hour. Just try to figure shit out. Just try to pay the bills and you know,
kill each other for oil in the process.
Well, yeah.
Assholes, aren't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than sort of listening to podcasts like that and used to read stuff like that. Audiobooks is something I've gotten to recently.
Yep.
Again, generally sort of weird and wacky shit that I listen to.
I like to listen to some with the audio, but I listen at work. You listen at work when you're in the van. I sort of like to listen to. Yeah. I like to throw a few normal non-fiction type, normal fiction type things in.
I've not really got into any sort of storybooks or anything like that so far. I've done like a guy that wrote a book or read a book about meditation. Which is fucking brilliant. Yeah. You know, from that I sort of downloaded his meditation app. Yeah. You know, like Headspace.
Yeah, Headspace,
it's fucking brilliant.
Good app, yeah. It's a
really
great
good.
app.
And
you know, like they say that if you taught in primary school now, when they first go to school, reception or whatever it is, I've not got kids, I'm not really. If they taught meditation to them within one generation, there'd be no wars.
Yeah. It's probably true.
Yeah.
You know? And I suppose using that app, and anyone listening, you know, when you say meditation to people, they think it's some sort of weird and wacky thing. Basically, you're learning to control your own mind, really.
Yeah.
You know,
step back from emotions and let your emotions.
I suppose rather than your mind controlling you control your mind.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know, it just generally involves you sitting quiet, relaxed, and you feel fucking brilliant after just 10 minutes.
Unbelievable.
You know, I mean, I'm one of them. Me fucking brain never shuts up. You know, fucking.
We didn't start the fire.
You know, it doesn't shut up. You know, and I fucking shout at myself sometimes because
Surely something rhymes with orange.
It does. I was fucking walking around Lidl before, and I was actually thinking out loud. I had to tell myself, "Shut up, you dick."
Yeah.
What you're
I know
doing.
it's
But yeah, I mean, if you got one of them brains, fucking overactive mind and all that, meditation's fucking brilliant.
Well, it's weird, really, because I found it, I know, like you say it to people, spirituality, meditation, and all that type of stuff. You say it, but I mean, like years ago when we got into conspiracy stuff and all that, and you're like, bloody hell, and all this, and I found that if you get on that path, some people get stuck and literally fucking paranoid, shutting the blinds, the tinfoil hat, and they sort of get stuck at that conspiracy level. But if you just carry on through it, it always just leads to spirituality. Everything I always do, like, this is what's so good about that convoluted
Here's
universe
a question
book.
for you.
Let me just say this. This is why it's so good about that convoluted universe book, because we read a lot about spirituality, and I know a bit about it, but when she's chatting to these light beings from other things, they're going to talking about all these same concepts that are a lot more widespread in mainstream, like sort of ethos of the mainstream now in our consciousness. It's in, and she's talking about like that type of stuff from back then, like these beings, and it's very linked with the spirituality concepts and of, we're all one and we're all together, we're all love, and we're all shouldn't be ruled by our emotion, and and well, it says about beings coming and stuff, and they sort of talk because they don't have they don't feel emotions and stuff, and they always wonder what it's like. And
I know a few people that don't feel emotions. I'm the opposite. I'm over emotional.
So go on, you want to have your question?
Yeah, dead simple question. How do you define spirituality? In my overactive mind before, before you arrived, we were doing this in my head, and you asked me that question. You said to me, "You're very spiritual, aren't you, Daz?"
Yeah.
So I replied back to you, of course, this is all in my head.
Yeah.
Define spirituality. What does that mean?
That's a good question.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So
you stumped me.
So I was asking myself that same question to you in my head.
So basically, you've gone, I hope he don't ask me that, because I can't say, fuck it,
I'm
ask
asking
him.
you first. But yeah, I mean, the best I could come up with was that it's just about, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Just be nice.
Yeah.
That's the best I could come up with for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to simplify.
Yeah,
although it is simple.
Yeah.
The concept of it is simple.
And I suppose we're not talking spirituality in any sort of strict religious sense.
No.
Word.
Yeah, when we say about spirituality, we're not talking about any of the sort of normal
Bible bashers.
Yeah, like Mormons, Christians, Catholics, and stuff like that. Muslims, Jews, that type of religious doctrine, dogma, followers, or you're wrong, you're going to hell. Yeah. So, well, I suppose.
Well, that's your homework anyway for next time.
Yeah.
Come back to me next time. Yeah. See what you come up with.
Yeah. Feel disappointed. I feel like I've let everybody down now.
No. I can't wait. I'm filled with anticipation now to see what you come back with, Phil.
Yeah.
Well, any listeners, send answers on a postcard. How do you define spirituality?
Yeah.
What does it mean to you?
And to be fair as well, I mean, no, I'm not going to get into this now. I was going to talk about sort of certain chemicals and certain things that...
Or the realms and dimensions.
Yeah, and stuff like that. But yeah, well, that's for another time. Yeah, that's for another time. So, well, keeping with the podcast, we've done pretty decent there, Daz. It's probably gone a bit mental, but this is what I want. I want to obviously get into things and talk to artists and stuff that people don't normally... Because it's weird because people sort of we play, we DJ at the nights, you have a little bit of a chat, but nobody knows what we're into, nobody knows what we do, nobody knows.
Well, that's the thing, innit? Because people only know us from the events. Yeah. So I'm glad this sort of veered off the way it did.
To be fair, it always veers off because when we that's why we're good friends, like you, my best mate, because we talk about this type of stuff and this mental, this type of mental stuff, and contemplate that type of thing, and then.
You know, in a way, I'm glad it wasn't just all music based. And
well, I don't want it to be the concept of this podcast. I don't want it to be, because they get enough of that. You know what I mean? They get enough of your mix. You know, the mixes. They see you at events. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Get to know us. That's what it's all about.
Well, yeah, definitely. Because not just that. When we're at the events, we're very sort of. That we're down to earth, and we come out into the crowd and whatnot and chat to people, aren't we? We're very social with everybody.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
You know, to be fair, if you're interested in,
why wouldn't we
come and talk to us about any of this stuff that you hear, and like, oh, that's interesting, or I'm into that, and it's another
inbox me.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna do an advert for this one, like an old cheesy, like din. So, are you looking for love? Message. Are you lonely and desperate? Message Daz Birchall. Definitely on a Sunday. Oh God.
The Dream Lineup.
Right, well, let's bring it back to the sort of music thing, because on the podcast, every artist that I talk to, I would like to know their dream bill. Everyone is a raver. You still are a raver, Daz, but
who's Bill?
A dream lineup, a dream event, a dream night. You can have anybody for any reason, anybody musical. Any genre. It's your specific bill. You get 3 DJs. Yeah, 3 DJs or 3 artists, 3 bands, 3 whatever you want. It's your night. What you would love to be stood in a venue of your choice and have these 3 artists do a 2-hour set each, and you're just in the middle raving to them, going mental.
3 artists.
Yeah.
Let's go with...
Who you kicking off with straight away? Who you kicking off with?
Is this in play order?
It doesn't. It doesn't have to be. It can be, who you want to start. You don't have to go. You can start off with like Dirty Dutch Gabba and then go to 60s and 70s music. But
how can I just choose 3? DJ Psy.
DJ Psy?
Yeah. Good versatile DJ, can play. For me, Psy is one of the best when it comes to reading a crowd.
Yeah.
You know, so Psy is definitely on there.
DJ Psy.
Yeah.
Just for reading a crowd or what? Playing hardcore?
He plays old school. He plays, he did the old cheeky track stuff that we used to play.
Yeah, the bootleg cheeky track stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Of course, he plays, or played hardcore.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's definitely on. Who else? Welly.
DJ Welly.
Let's put Welly on.
Yeah, man.
Again, good versatile DJ. I was always a fan of Welly. I like Welly. Who else? I'm going to say Darren Styles.
Darren Styles.
Yeah. I think I've always been a fan of Styles since the Force and Styles days.
Yeah.
First saw him play.
In September.
It was actually December 1996. Yeah. In the back room at Bowler's, what we use as room 2. He played as Force and Styles. I remember they did a 2-hour set. The first time I ever saw him play. I've seen him loads of times, of course, over the years. But yeah, you got to respect Darren Styles for he's always stuck with it, and he's always stuck true to his roots.
Yeah, he's
phenomenal.
Yeah, without a doubt.
As a producer, he's fucking brilliant. So yeah, Styles is on as well.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go back because, what are you having Psy playing?
I'm going to leave it up to Psy to read the crowd.
What are you having Welly playing?
Again, Welly was a good old school DJ. He was
good hip hop DJ as well.
Yeah.
This is why I'm asking. Good bounce, great bounce
brilliant
DJ.
At the pair, so I'll leave it up to Welly to read the crowd. And then I think Styles towards the end of the night he can probably start.
Well, Styles then. Let's just pick this. He's sort of newer, 2007, 8, 9 onwards stuff, or before that. Because, like you say, you used to go out in the happy hardcore days.
Yeah, I'd probably have him playing stuff from maybe 2002 onwards.
2002 onwards.
Yeah, his Force and Style stuff was good back in the day, but I much prefer his
newer stuff.
His newer stuff, yeah.
Oh, mate, some of his stuff that he puts on now is fucking absolutely amazing.
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. Right, what venue? And this as well, you can have any venue that you've ever been to. You can also have any venue that you think, God damn, that would be a sick rave in there. Like the top of the Eiffel Tower, stupid. Just something mental that's not a venue, a club venue, or you can pick something that... is a venue that you have been to?
I suppose I'd probably go with. I'm going to say Room 2 at Bowlers.
Room 2, yeah.
Because I think when I started going to Bowlers back then, some of the events that I used to go to were old school events, and they'd always put hardcore in the back room, in that Room 2. So I suppose for nostalgic reasons, I'm going to pick Room 2 at Bowlers. Yeah.
Room 2 at Bowlers.
Yeah, it's a big enough room, and you can have a fucking good rave in there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, to be fair, I've talked about this with people, and some people have picked obviously a big arenas, big massive arenas. I always prefer the little intimate, like, because I prefer to play. Like, it's different playing Park Hall than it is playing Bowlers, Zombie Nation and stuff. And
I found that, last weekend, going back to that Audacity night that I played at, such a small club.
Yeah, well,
fucking hell, so intimate, and everyone's just there in front of you.
And I'll tell you the
best
ever, one of my best ever sets that I will remember till the day I die. People go, fucking, that must be mint playing up there and all that. One of the best sets I ever fucking did was...
That pub in Longridge.
No. It was... We talked about that with Keo, actually, on his podcast, because I said that's the first time I met you, and you poured a fucking pint on your head and got thrown out by the bouncer emceeing with an electric microphone, and he decides to pour loads of liquid over it, and the bouncer threw him out. But best set I've ever played that will always stick in my memory and probably be the best ever one was Lorette de Mar boat party with 100 people on it.
June 2014.
Yeah,
that was fucking good.
BTID in the sun, the first ever one in the boat on the boat party. There was the Magaluf one had the seats on it. There was none of that. It was just all raving. There was about 100 people on it. Open plan. Yeah. It was fucking unbelievable. Yeah, everyone just going for it. Yeah. The setting, the place, everyone going for it. It was just fucking. Unbelievably good.
In fact, I don't remember it well.
Oh yeah, was that the day before? Was that the start of that led up? Goddamn computer! Right, I'll paste this in. Was that the start of the day to led up to the pigeon incident?
Thinking back to Lorette de Mar, I mean, we could fill a fucking another podcast with all these old stories. But I don't know. I lost track of all my days. It's funny if you look back at the photos from Lorette de Mar that year. I think the first night I got there, I was wearing one set of clothes. The following morning, I put on this white T-shirt and this pair of shorts that I'm wearing every other day for the next 4 days. That to me was just like one long day and night out. It's funny looking back, but yeah, I don't know when the boat party was. I remember being on the boat. I know I was there because there's photos of me. But yeah, I kind of vaguely remember it. I remember playing Signum coming on strong actually on the boat. Yeah, old transy thing.
Yeah, me and you went on together.
That's right,
played together, yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, good times. Right, cool. So I'm sure, obviously, there's a lot to talk about. I'm sure we'll hopefully get a decent response from people. If you do want to know anything, if you do want to ask us anything, you can always go on my Scott Rez page on Facebook and drop me a line, drop me a question, and I'll certainly talk to it about people and with people, or if you want anything, just give us a shout. Before we go, where can people get hold of you?
I'll leave you my phone number in a minute.
I don't mean ladies. I mean, where can people, if they want to follow your music, follow your tunes, you're on SoundCloud.
To be honest, I'm fucking shit when it comes
to this.
You're
terrible.
I think my SoundCloud only contains classics mixes.
Yeah. What's that?
I couldn't even tell you. Just search Daz Birchall on
SoundCloud. Yeah.
But yeah, before we go, can I just say, thanks to everyone that's sort of supported me over the years. Anyone that's rocked with me on the dance floor, thank you.
Anyone who's lifted you up on a crowd surf.
Yeah. Anyone that's ever picked me up off the floor.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could fill another podcast, I think. With
you know what I'm definitely going to do? Obviously,
I'll start writing them down as I remember it.
Yeah, remember and write them down. And everybody, I'm going to do another special podcast with Daz later on, obviously in the year one. But any questions, I'll save them all up. Anything you want to know, anything you want to say, we'll just do a Daz Birchall special podcast. But yeah, right. Thanks a lot for that, Daz. You've been brilliant.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, cheers.
I'll see you soon.
The Acoustic Sessions.
me breathe you in and breathe the words in your mouth. Inside you're shivering, the silence shouts so loud. I just want to stay around when my heart beats. I promise I won't let you down. If you keep building these walls, brick by brick towers so tall, soon I won't see you at all. Till the concrete angel falls. I knew who you were from the start, but now I don't know who you are. Soon there'll be nothing at all. Till the concrete angel falls. If I'm somewhere else, it doesn't mean that I don't see that you don't trust yourself. That's why you don't trust me. It makes me crazy when you're crazy. You don't speak. You think you know me, but what you know is just skin deep. If you keep building these walls, brick by brick towers so tall, soon I won't see you at all. Till the concrete angel falls. I knew who you were from the start, but now I don't know who you are. Soon there'll be nothing at all. Till the concrete angel falls. It's twisting your mind, I'm not getting through. Cause I don't see it like you do. There's nothing to fight, you've got no excuse. I'm over getting over you. Over getting over you. Cause I don't see it like you do. I'm over getting over you. I'm over getting over you. If you keep building these walls, brick by brick towers so tall, soon I won't see you at all. Till the concrete angel falls. I knew who you were from the start, but now I don't know who you are. Yes, soon there'll be nothing at all. Till the concrete angel falls.
You're listening to the Scott Rez Podcast.
So we're here with the wonderful Nikki.
Nikki from Aki.
Nikki from Aki. That was more robot than, yeah.
Yeah, like you always say, like make it sound like you're from Melby.
Oh,
Nikki
well,
from Aki.
well, I suppose we should tell them the story.
Yes.
When we were first trying to record this podcast, when we were going to do a BTID one,
Yeah.
which never happened, we were playing some tunes and chatting, and obviously I started doing a voice and yeah, all right, I'm Nikki from Aki. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, that
And
sounds
that's how it
just
come
like
about.
that.
And
So
then
now,
Kenny
so now
told you.
we've got Scott Rez in Aki. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. They played it. Yeah, I think it was Ricky that played it for me.
Yeah.
And was like, have a listen to this. I'm like, oh, he's taking a mick out of me without me even not being in the room here.
Yeah, I knew you'd be all right about it.
Oh,
I knew you would.
absolutely.
So we've just done the recording session.
And I bet not many people know that Scott Rez plays a guitar because
yeah,
I know
yeah.
that I didn't.
I was on the guitar, yeah. So if you hear
Jack
it
of all trades, master of none, eh?
yeah, that's the one. That's definitely the one for me. But that just sums me up, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm so. They call me. One of my friends calls me Brian McFaddy because I'm so faddy doing all different things like a jack of all trades. So yeah, I'm Brian McFaddy.
Brian McFaddy, that's epic.
But yeah, so we just recorded that, and so we're gonna have a conversation. So obviously, the first track was Concrete Angel. They've not heard it yet. So we recorded Concrete Angel,
So
which was
strip back.
yeah, no doubt you'll have seen the PA of Nikki recording that, which is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, so we just want to know like sort of how you got how you ended up recording that with Kenny and Ben, obviously a KB project track, and you redid it for that, and sort of just fill us in on how it all started, really.
Yeah, and accidentally ended up getting into bounce. So I've always grown up with Clubland, and obviously being from Accrington, that was like the music from Aki. So from like going to like primary school discos, and they were playing like Kelly Loren and Set You Free and all that kind of thing. So I always just fell in love with like sort of with Clubland and dance music from when I was young, going out in Accrington. And then, of course, All Around the World was based over in Blackburn, so they were literally on the doorstep. So
that's like the big label who do all the Clubland albums and
exactly.
stuff for anyone
They're
who
all
don't know.
signed to. So I used to work at Blackburn College for a while, and when they moved the All Around the World behind the new place behind Reedy's, I walked past it day in, day out and thinking, oh, I really, really, this is my dream. I'd love to do that, and just never really got brave enough to do anything about it. And so I've gigged and stuff on like the pub and club circuit. So even when I'm not doing PAs, you'll find me on between bingo at your little bloody working men's bowling clubs and things, and doing it like a whole world away from that. But obviously it keeps you grounded and over at Blackpool and stuff. But I just got brave 4 years ago, and Kenny followed me back on Twitter.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh great, I can like send him a message. So I just messaged him and said, if you're sort of looking for vocalists for anything, like obviously I've sort of done my time for the last 12 years gigging round and about, and I'd love to sort of send over my demos. So he's like, send in your demos. So I'd recorded an Irish one called The Voice by Celtic Woman, which was all like sort of warbling through the roof and very Celtic, very random sound. And I can't remember what else was it. Might have been Blondie one way or another, and a couple of other bits. So very, very not dance music or it's random. And then he was like, oh, brilliant. Yeah, I need to get some like vocalists in. So so in the January then, 4 years ago, I went over and couldn't believe it when I walked into All Around the World, and he's got there with all these discs everywhere and sitting all the Clubland CDs that I like bought and have had for years. And I'm like, oh my God, walking in like this is absolutely mental. And we both got carried away being ridiculous and just nattering about tunes. And then we wrote a song called Starting Over. And that was initially as like a ballad. Yeah. And then Graham Dobby from 1 and 2.
Yeah.
He heard it.
He's Scottish, and he will say you have to call him Dobby.
Dobby.
Yeah.
No,
that's how
Dobby,
you pronounce it.
But
I just call him Dobby because he says Dobby's a bloody.
Dobby's out
of Harry Potter.
Yeah, Dobby. All right,
listen,
Dobby. Oh God, well, I'm meeting up with him in a few weeks. I'll have to remember that.
Remember that, yeah.
I'll be well
points out to me all the time.
Right, Dobby.
I'm like, listen, Dobby. I'm from Manchester. I struggle with the English language as it is.
Yeah.
You're Dobby.
Plus, he's got Glaswegian as well, so that's going to be I'm going to be in the studio. Yeah, with Dobby. As a Glaswegian with Heidi, who's a Geordie, and then me from Aki. I was like, well, that's a real mix of accents that's going to be in the studio in a few weeks' time with that. But he was the one, that picked it up and said that he wanted to turn it into a bounce tune. So he did that, and then Ben got in touch with Kenny and said, obviously, we want to do like a KB PA. And they used odd singers in the past or whatever, they got these new tracks that he wanted to do, and then Ben said, like Kenny said, well, do you want to have a go at it, doing a PA? And I was like, oh my God, this would be like my dream, like to do that. And so they went, right, well, Ben said the two tunes that they wanted to record was Home by, I think it was BB, and this Concrete Angel, Christine Novelli. And I was like, in my ignorance, I was like, oh gosh, I don't actually know either of those like sort of tunes to listen to. And as soon as I heard the Concrete Angel one, I just absolutely fell in love with her voice and the vocal and everything. And and then did not expect to go to Park Hall in the March at my first BTID, and then it's all just kind of snowballed and gone a little bit crazy mental since then. So
so obviously it was a massive. I heard it first when it was a hardcore track.
So that must be where like Ben got the idea from.
It was like definitely needed a bounce.
The bounce version. That's it. Because like when I'm on stage, like I forget that I'm up there, because like obviously I've been to like dance events and stuff when you're just like a raver on the dance floor, a bit like Keo, you go there and like obviously you raving away, and like I'm like no dancer by any stretch of the imagination. So that's why you always see me like when I'm on, I kind of forget that you're singing in front of thousands, and because it's just the best feeling in the world, like just for that 10 minutes to be like living your dream. And everyone's singing away and raving away in front of you, and that's why I'm like was like stomping up and about like a mental case.
Well, it's the same with me because I get it the same because actually when you're on, you forget, you get into it that much, you sort of forget.
So in it.
I watch videos back and cringe like, oh no,
that's what
look
I
at that.
do. Yeah, because somebody went like, oh God, look at her trying to mum dance or something, and I was like, oh God, that's the last thing you're thinking about.
It is, it is.
Partially, you're thinking, don't deck it, because
and to be fair as well, online you always get haters anyway. So
big time.
No,
but
it's just one of them. That's what the internet's bad for. It's just all the.
That's it. But you always just feel so grateful and so thankful to like Kenny and Ben and the BTID teams are just for that. 10 minutes. The events just to like live your dream and stuff.
Definitely.
It's absolutely amazing.
And I suppose it's a great story for any aspiring vocalists and singers. Just put yourself out there.
That's it. 100%.
To be fair, I mean, over the years I've been in the bounce scene for a hell of a long time, and it's always been a big struggle for me. Like I always think of, and that just sort of having that sort of fear of putting yourself out there, and it's only literally been the last sort of 3 or 4, maybe about 5 or 6 years. I'm trying to slow time down as I'm getting on now, but is where you sort of click and just go, do you know what? I've just got to put myself.
You're like, I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah,
that's it. Because
you feel vulnerable, but you just got you've got to feel vulnerable. Just put it out. Don't care. Just don't listen to the haters.
That's it. Somebody said to me, you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was the biggest thing when I was like, I thought, I've been doing all these pubs and clubs for years and years, and I'm so grateful for that, but I need to push myself more. Like if you're not going for your dream, you'll always look back and regret and think, well, I didn't put myself out there. Why didn't I do it? And I didn't want to have that regret. Yeah. And, and something as simple as sending a message on Twitter with your demos, that's what I just say, just like go for it. Because I did not expect, sort of this at all.
Obviously, a lot of people know I do stand-up comedy and stuff, and I always used to think, I'm a bit late for it now, you know what I mean? I was about 30, 31 when I sort of started thinking about going, because I never realised, you hear people say like, oh yeah, bloody hell, do it for a job and all that, and they get into it, they're young. I never realised, I never twigged me. I must have just been thick that I love comedy all my life, and I've gone, you could do this as a job. I was like, oh yeah, because I read Frank Skinner's book, and he was 30, and one of his friend's girlfriends said to him, how's it feel to be 30 and on the scrap heap? And about 5 years later, he won the Perry Award in Edinburgh and stuff. And
it's
5 or 6 years
so
later,
mental,
so
like, I'd like sung in like choirs and doing like amateur dramatics and shows for years, but I didn't start gigging until me and one of my friends at an after show party when we were drunk. We were on the karaoke in a pub, and somebody came up to us and said, "Oh, do you two do this as a job?" And we're like, "No, but why haven't we even thought about this?"
Sure,
so
we got like just a chat-up line.
Well, it was considerably old, so I hope not. So we just like bought some like PA equipment and then kind of went from there. So I didn't even start gigging until I was 21. Whereas there's people now that are doing it like 15, 16. Whereas it just didn't even enter my head that was an option.
That's what I mean. Yeah, they're like sneaking on the X Factor and stuff and all that. And
exactly. Going and doing that.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not for me though. It's a great platform for people. But I met up with like some X Factor producers in Cafe Nero in Manchester. It came through like my singing agency, and they'd send our demos, and I was knowing, and they'd pick 7 of us, and they were like, right, just come along, just meet them. It's sort of coffee shop in Manchester, so they sent us in 2s. So this guy had come up from London, and they were like, right, tell us a bit about yourself. So I'm like, well, I'm Nicola, I'm from Accrington. I said, I love my dance music. I said, I'm just like a dead normal person. I said, everyone's been through shit and whatever. I said, but I said, for me, dance music's what I've always wanted to do. It doesn't matter how old you are, because you're a voice behind the music, and you don't matter what you look like or whatever. And then this other girl sat next to me. She started talking, going, I've just no confidence at all. And then my family were amazed when I get on the mic. I turn into this different person. Just sat there, pulled my face, looked at her, and was like, no, that's it. I am done. I was like, unless you're prepared to throw your grandma under a bus.
You need a sub story.
Of course you do. And I was like, no, I just want to sing on dance music. That's all I'm bothered about doing. Everyone's got their own the dreams. And
you could have just told them that you're from Acca. There's a sub story.
I know, that's it. I was like, somebody's got to be from here, haven't they?
Please, at the event, no one from Acca come over and hit me, please.
Yeah, exactly.
I like
Acca.
It's lovely, very picturesque.
Well, that's it. Look at this. We're up in the sticks, we're up in the hills, And then, you could probably wave at Mikey Davis with his drone over the Darwin Hill over there.
Yeah. So, people with his drone. So we'll move on, obviously, to the second track. Obviously, I asked people to record something that means something to them.
So he
and another dance
totally
track,
dropped me in this because I didn't even have a chance to think. I was like, what? We're doing another one?
I know, yeah. Well, to be fair, I thought I'd said it, but it's been a bit of a mad month anyway, getting everything sorted. But I thought I did say it. But then we did. I suggested another track that I wouldn't have minded doing, but it didn't sort of work out. So I said, yeah. To be fair, it's
Just
your
pick one that I like. So
pick one. So which one did you pick?
So I went for Bryan Adams, Heaven, or could be DJ Sammy, Heaven, whichever way you kind of look at it.
Yeah.
But
Huge track,
massive track. Yeah, well, that's it. I remember like being at like a disco at school and the DJ Sammy version being on. But my dad had always
because I remember that's just made me feel so old, Nikki. Because I remember coming back from the pier and going into the Power Records in Wigan, which was owned by Ben and Mikey B, and actually buying a copy on vinyl when that come out. And you just said you're at a school disco, and I'm like, I turned up at Power Records still twatted from the night before. Like, yeah, we got that Heaven track, whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair though, I was a bit like a rebel then. Like I must have been about 13, 14 because we were at high school, but then so we'd maybe be at a school disco one week, but then we'd go on a Thursday night to a nightclub in Rawtenstall. And if you were there before 10 o'clock, you used to get in, so it didn't matter if you were, even though obviously we were underage, we'd only go there and have 2 Smirnoff Ices and then get up for school the next day. We had like midnight curfew.
Yeah, I was a proper rebel then, yeah.
Exactly, so I didn't do drinking on the streets. You just went to Rawtenstall and went to drink in the
no,
pubs.
we had to do it behind the back of the shops and stuff, was.
But yeah, I always loved the Bryan Adams version. My dad like brought me up with listening to that, and I heard the acoustic, the Bryan Adams Unplugged. With a guitar, and then obviously with you with your guitar today, I was like, that would be perfect.
But I'm not as obviously guitar skills as Nikki's mum and dad have just come
Mum and
back
dad are in the back. Can you shut the door, please, guys? Thanks.
Nikki's bossy side coming out.
No,
but,
I just thought, oh no, Sunday they're normally at the gym. They're normally all going to be out, and then now we've got the little cockapoo dog race and all sorts of fun and games.
Yeah, it's fine. It all adds to the
typical
realism.
mad family Lynch household. It's just I won't have it any other way. They're my best friends.
So well, like I say, with the Bryan Adams track, and obviously me being so much, you obviously nailed it as well with the vocal. He was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and just like the words, I know quite a few people who've like because I'd done that once or twice for a first dance. The DJ Sammy, the Candlelight remix of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is just such like a lovely sort of the lyrics and everything. Yeah, just really.
It's a great song, definitely. So, well, there you go. Obviously, that was Nikki on the Scott Rez podcast on the Acoustic Sessions. You are now going to obviously hear the tracks that we've talked about. So all I've got to say is, Nikki, thanks very much for coming on the podcast and doing this.
And thank you and your acoustic guitar skills.
Yeah, no
very
worries.
excited.
Nice to be appreciated sometimes.
God, cry me a river.
Yeah, I will do that next time.
That's why you do it. You go, I'll retire. Oh no, and everyone goes, oh no, Scott Rez, don't retire. And then you come back and they're going, oh yeah, Scott Rez is back.
I'm gonna start. I play.
We're gonna have to put bets on and say, right, how long's this last? And then until next time, and then we'll go. Oh.
I'm gonna start my set at Preston with Eminem. Guess who's
back again. and again.
and again. Oh no.
We can't wait. We love you, Scott Rez.
I'm gonna milk it. I'm not really.
Right.
No, I'm not like that.
Too right. No, we can't wait. Yeah. And then, is Easter your first one back?
Yeah. Easter's my first one back.
Sunday.
Yeah,
that is going to be epic.
Yeah.
Epic.
You're there as well,
I am,
obviously.
Honestly,
so
when I saw the photo and I was like, I'm down as a headliner with Kelly Renner and like Brandon Block and Big Ange, and I'm like, this is.
I know it's like I say, it's going to be a big event. So and obviously with the house side and stuff, and then obviously the back by Dublin Man with all the old classics. Yeah,
that's exciting with the Piano Man guys as well. So they're obviously on the different room as well. So it's just gonna be
well, there you go, little plug anyway. So if you come down and see us, we're both going to be there. So all I've got left to say is thank you, Nikki. We'll definitely get you on again, and we'll do some other tracks in the future on the podcast because I've no doubt people are going to love this.
Thank you very much, Scott Rez. And
cheers.
Yes, see you again.
The Scott Rez Podcast.
Right, guys, thanks for listening. This is the end of the podcast. You know, if you've got this far, you're an absolute trooper. Could I just ask a big favour? Please like and rate this podcast on iTunes. Write a review. Your feedback is always welcome. You know, I like to listen to that. Also, just on that note as well, if you if you guys do have any questions, anything you want to know, anything you want me to expand upon that we've talked about on the podcast, any questions for the next time we record, just hit me up, get on my Scott Rez fan page on Facebook, and I'll save them all. And anytime I record, I'll ask the artist the questions and stuff like that. I do as well just want to give a big shout out to both guests on this episode of the podcast, obviously Daz Birchall and Nikki. The Bryan Adams recording will be played on the next episode, so make sure you tune into that one. So that's it. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you on the next episode.